It's always so hot in here, they think I'm nuts. They're like, oh, it's just yellow.
All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would you please rise and say the pledge? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Sarah, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Erling,
Here,
Commissioner Weeding,
Here.
Commissioner Walsh,
Here.
Commissioner Wozak,
Here.
Mayor Hart,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Thank you. I'm now opening it up for public comment. If you wish to make a comment, please come up the center aisle, speak into the microphone, state your name and your address. All right, seeing nobody come forward, I will now close public comment. Sarah.
So this public hearing is being held for the purpose of hearing testimony regarding the proposed annual budget for the city of Brainerd for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2025.
I'll read a motion to open the public hearing.
Yes.
I request a motion to open public hearing.
I'll second that.
Who was the first, who was the second?
That was
Warren?
Warren first, Ron second.
No, you're right. Commissioner Erling,
yes.
Commissioner Weeding,
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Wozak,
yes.
Mayor Hart,
Yes.
motion carries. So the public hearing is being held for the purpose of hearing testimony regarding the proposed annual budget for the city of Brainerd for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2025 and ending April 30th, 2026. Pursuant to the law that a notice was published in the Brainerd Journal on March 12th, 2025, notifying the public of this hearing. And the proposed budget has been available for inspection at the office of the city clerk since February 25th, 2025. Public hearing is open.
We're now open for public comment on the budget. Seeing,
Now would be appropriate time for the city to provide any comments about the budget if they wish.
okay. Kim,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
if you would provide some comments, highlights on the budget for us, please.
Okay, so after reviewing, I was going to request a couple of amendments on the budget. The first one being, I don't know if everybody's got a copy of it, but the first one being, on page 4. I think we need to replace the, second line with, instead of saying sergeants, I need it changed to salaries. Because that includes the whole police department's pay. Am I mistaken?
I have a question, why would you not then just leave the sergeants where it's at and then a full-time clerk patrol wages down into where it belongs?
Right now, as council's gonna discuss it, we'll open it up for public comment afterwards.
Okay.
And then.
Kim, what, did you want me to respond to something? Were you-
The PD where they have it listed under sergeants.
Yeah.
I believe that's supposed to be the wages and salary of
Yes.
all of the police department, not just
Yeah,
sergeants.
we're moving to showing the entire cost for wages for the entire police department, except for the chief. And that's a beneficial thing because it's less accounting and extra work to try to separate it all out to different full-time, part-time, etc. So any other questions regarding why we would have what, I'm welcome to answer. So that line that says sergeant's gonna become total police wages.
We can wait for their public comment till
Yeah,
after Tim is finished.
And then, my second, request would be page 6. Towards the bottom, it's listed under recreational. I would recommend that we move that to one line item rather than having it broken down into 1, 2, 4 different line items. Just an observation I had made.
Kim, what is the title there when you say page 6? What's,
Under recreation toward the bottom,
Under general fund.
recreational, and then it's listing dog park, splash pad, facilities.
okay,
Did you see it?
yes.
So we're talking about taking the 4 lines and make 1 line.
Correct.
Consolidate them into one.
And then, just a comment under, page 8, under water and sewer department, that the, salaries, it's proposed that they're going to hire 1 supervisor per department for water and streets. So part of that salary would include, salary for a supervisor. And if you look toward the bottom of page 8, there's a capital outlay for a water main, which is 800,000. It would be for 2 new generators and 2 new water pumps that are much needed for the city.
Well pumps, yep.
Sorry, I'm just. skimming
I
through
can
my
add
notes
to
here.
that, 2 new generators gonna be about 400,000, and the 2 well pumps are gonna be in the ballpark of 120,000. So that's where you can see,
And then page 12, there's a little bit of an offset here. And I did want to take a minute to explain that to the community. So our audit fund, originally, we were quoted at 22,000, I believe. And the audit companies were backed up, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. And so we had shopped around and we didn't find anyone able to do the audit. So we ended up returning to them, and in the time frame we needed, we ended up needing to pay more money. So there is a little bit of an offset there, but we'll cover that out of the admin fund. And then I think that is what I found out of here. There's 46 line items, if you go back to page 1, there's 46 line items, on the general fund. And I know there's been a lot of talk about the city using the water enterprise funds to run the city. But if you review just this page alone, it shows that, there's $5,570,000 in revenue alone in the general fund. That doesn't include any revenue from the water enterprise fund. I did want to clear that up. And, I think that was it.
so
So-
just,
Any other
Question?
questions from the,
just to
Council?
understand, the first page of the general fund at 5.5 and 700,000, that is the city, just the city revenue. And then if you go to page 7, you'll see an enterprise fund revenue, which is separate, completely separate, of $4.5 million, $3,600. So
Correct.
2 separate
Funds,
funds.
yes. It's all in the same, it all collects in the same bank, but it is, a portion to stay for the water and sewer department.
And as I see this, the page 7 shows $4,503,600 as the enterprise fund revenue. And on the next page, it shows the total expenses for $4,503,600 in
That is
expenses. So it's an even wash, is that correct?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, it is.
All right, I'm now open it for public comment from the audience.
Any comments from you about the amendment discussed or just generally about the proposed?
Well, then I'm going to have some comments. I would like to explain why our police budget is what it is. We currently have 20 officers, of which there are 5 that are part-time school resource officers. Then we have a chief, and then we have 4 sergeants. Now, our goal is to have a sergeant and 2 patrol officers on every shift. That is 4 shifts, so that is 12 people minimum for sergeants and patrol officers. Now, there's a good reason for that. There was something called the Safety Act that Will County established last year. And the Will County requires that certain paperwork be provided in time for a person that's being arrested to potentially be going to court in the morning. So we need paperwork accomplished even on the 4th shift, on the night shift, to have been completed and ready for the court. Now, paperwork for an arrest, I'm going to give you more detail than you probably want to know, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. So paperwork for an arrest requires some interaction between a patrol officer and a supervisor. The supervisor is the sergeant. The sergeant becomes a sergeant because they become qualified and tested and verified, and they know all the rules and the ins and outs. So they go over any arrest report with the patrol officer and make sure that all the information is accurate, everything's required that is required for the court, etc., is there. So you really need a supervisor and patrol officers on every shift. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a sergeant and 2 patrol officers on every shift. In addition, there's a reason that so that will increase our budget a little bit, but our goal is to make sure that all the residents of Braidwood are safe and secure. And we don't take any increases in budget lightly. But I have complimented our police chief, Brett Goodwin, many times because I think he's doing an excellent job. And he's the one that has to make sure all of these things are working on every shift and doing everything right. I oversee what he is doing, and I oversee all the things he's done. And I am very confident that the things that we're doing together is the right thing to do. I'd also like to point out that and a reason for an increase in officers is verified by an increase in the number of service calls our police department makes. If you see that red line, that goes for 4 years. And that 4-year period shows a 35% increase in service calls. So that means we need more officers to handle more service calls. Okay, and in case anybody wants to look at it online, there you go. The next thing is the number of officers by year. This is a graph showing how they have gone from 16 at 2022 to now 20 in 2025. And the reason for that relates right to what I've just been saying, the service calls and the need for having a supervisor and officers on each shift. So that is why I think we are doing a very good job in the police department, and we're serving all the citizens of Braidwood in doing so. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I have one more thing to add. I thought maybe breaking down the, general fund, expenses a little further for everyone. So the administration, we're allowing, $1,152,500 just for the general administration. Zoning, we're allowing 270 approximately, these are approximate numbers. You can find the actual numbers on the budget. Zoning would be at 279. Police, we're allowing a little under 3 million to cover everything Ron has just discussed. Streets department is at 975.5. Animal control, ESDA, public property, that comes in a little over 40, and then the recreational that I had recommended being one line item at 150, which puts us at the 5.5, a little over 5.5. I'm sorry about that, Mayor.
All right, hearing no other,
Right.
oh, I'm sorry, Wayne.
On the enterprise fund, it's a balanced budget, expenses to revenue. All right, if we were balanced right now and we had another situation like you're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Where are those funds coming from? Are they coming out of the general fund then?
We would sit
If we
down
had
at
to
that
repeat-
time,
We had to repeat what you're doing with the water tower.
in the event of a issue like we have on the tower, then we would all talk about where will we take that money from? We would talk to the attorney and find out, can we use some money here, can we use some money there? But inevitably, that would have to come out of that enterprise fund for water. And that's why we're trying to budget so tightly. It does leave us just a little wiggle room for something that we're going through right now.
So there's no reserve set up for within the enterprise fund, or again, or does it just come out of general fund then to deal with it?
Maybe
So-
Tony, if you could explain a little bit for me, you're a little better with words than
What
I am.
I can tell you is we budgeted for 800 to do the generators and the pumps, which will leave us about 200,000 extra there. And if you go up a little farther, you'll see an additional 250,000 for water sewer infrastructure. So in essence, there's about 450,000 available for technical difficulties we'll call them.
As we're
So
experiencing.
that's extra on the line item.
Yeah.
right?
And
Yes.
the repairs
Yes.
and stuff
In
on
case
this
you
one.
have to do that.
The
Yes.
repairs and stuff on this water tower, it was a time thing. First of all, we had a hard time shutting valves off. We did get the valve shut off, so we're gonna do the valve replacement, repairs, and the tank, and we're only gonna have maybe $10,000 into the entire corrections, fix and repair of the whole thing.
Thank you.
We're kinda doing a little extra this time, cause years back, there was an issue, and at that time, they didn't have the money to replace valves and stuff, where we do now, so
Kind of put a Band-Aid on it
Yeah.
and moved on, and
now
so,
we're doing it the 100% correct way. It's still gonna be in the 10,000, maximum of 12.
You've also done a lot of work throughout the year this year updating, is that correct, Warren?
yes. Down at the plant, they've done a lot of upgrade. We're still working with SCADA to get everything working on that, the majority is. But it's technology, so there's some hiccups as we go along. One of the valves we're actually putting out back here will be hooked up to SCADA, so they can be operated technically. Until we get that hooked up, it is a manual valve also, so we can still function the valve open or close. But then in the future, then SCADA will be hooked up to it, so the technology will be able to open or close it if we need it from remote.
How much, if any, is there insurance related to infrastructure problems like this?
That's a good question, Wayne. I'll have to look into that and give you an answer. I don't have a solid answer right now. I don't want to be misquoted. I'd like to.
No, yeah, that's fine. It's just as I'm recalling, I've been here, coming to these things for 15 years now. And, I know the enterprise fund has always been an issue in some way, shape, or form as to where the funds are. So it just related to having a balanced budget is great.
I think it's the first time in decades that's happened.
A couple $100,000 in there as a slush, but you know, a major disruption, how are we accounting for that?
We would all have conversation and come to a solution, economic solution, a financially stable solution, if that was ever occur. There's a lot of what ifs,
Yeah.
but we would find a solution that works best for the entire city.
And again, we have about $500,000 cushion for what we're doing, so we'll just keep correcting and fixing old problems and stepping forward as we go.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question for the street department. You're looking to buy another truck, capital outlay of $60,000 per vehicle.
We may, yeah.
Five.
The idea was, 2 years ago, when we came in, there were some vehicles that needed bad work. I mean, even before that, an axle fell off of one. So that was one of our goals, to get this fleet updated for the guys. They're spending we're spending time sending vehicles to dealerships, every other month or something, so we're upgrading it. When we talked to the guys out at the Public Works at the beginning, that was one of their concerns, to get these vehicles upgraded. So that is a possibility.
Hearing no other comments, I will ask for a motion to close public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Early,
Yes.
Commissioner Weeding,
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Wozak,
Yes.
Mayor Hart,
Yes,
motion carries.
I'm now requesting a motion to approve ordinance 2512, approving the annual budget and appropriations for the city of Braidwood for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2025, and ending April 30, 2026.
And if I could ask if the motion would include the 3 amendments made by Commissioner Early?
May I restate the
Yes.
motion?
No, you don't have to.
Okay, they will
Clear what the
include
motion was made.
the 3 adjustments.
I'll make that motion to approve this budget with the amendments.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Early,
Yes.
Commissioner Weeding,
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Wozak,
Yes.
Mayor Hart,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, continuing on, you have the minutes in your packet. I will need a motion to approve those minutes from Tuesday, March 11th, 2025.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Commissioner Early,
Yes.
Commissioner Weeding,
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Wozak,
Yes.
Mayor Hart,
Yes,
motion carries.
okay, we'll start on, with reports from city officials. I really don't have anything to say, except tomorrow is the blood drive that we are having, the second blood drive that we're having. And just to let you all know, in case you haven't been aware of it, it is not going to be here in City Hall. It's going to be down at the firehouse. We have voting here, early voting here, so we can't have it here in City Hall. It will be down at the firehouse, same time, 2 to 6. If you signed up, just come on down to the firehouse. And we have about 15, and we have 5 slots that are open. I need to remind you, you don't have to register. We would like for you to register, but you don't have to register. You can just walk in. So if that's something that touches your heart, please see if you can do that.
And you get an entry into a potential trip to Hawaii.
And I think you get a $10,
$15 e-gift card if you
Yeah.
register with the word Bloom.
yeah. So they kind of incentivize this, okay? All right, that's all I have. Mr. Altieri, do you have anything for us?
Mayor, I have a couple updates. I met with Federated Bank again this last week. And I was discussing with that, a couple little clarity, I mean, they're buying the old Busey Bank to move into it. We've had a lot of people say, well, you're not bringing a new bank in, you're bringing an old bank over. Well, a couple years ago, they were trying to do a full-service bank, but couldn't find the facilities, but wanted to get their foothold in Braidwood. So he wanted to say that the bank they have now is a savings and loan and commercial. The new one going in is a full-service bank. They had a few issues with mold in the building, so it pushed them back to mid-April of moving in. But at that time, it'll be a full-service bank, savings, checking, loans, everything. And the other update I have is I have most all of the paperwork for the data center. I expect to have the rest of it tomorrow, I believe. That'll be coming to the zoning committee, hopefully within, if they get me everything, being some notices in the paper and everything, take a little longer. It'll probably be the beginning of May. That's all I have in there.
Thank you. Mrs. Weaver.
Yes, I do have a couple things. By April 4th, the garbage company will be mailing out flyers.
Flowers.
You talk about balloons, I have flowers on mine now. Flyers for the seasonal cleanup dates. The spring cleanup is scheduled on your regular garbage pickup either Monday, May 5th or Tuesday, May 6th. And the flyers do have acceptable items of like mattresses and box springs, carpet rolls, small furniture, bicycles. I do have some flyers on the table and it does have some more additional information. Again, that the yard waste will start April 1st. And lastly, on our website, we now have a submittable form for the EPA service line survey that is required. It is on the city's website on the homepage at www.braidwood.us. You just click the lead line survey inventory logo pick, and it'll take you right to the survey. And once you complete the survey, it'll automatically be submitted back to us here at City Hall. This is required by the EPA for the homeowners and the city, so they can have a material inventory list of all the homes that the water gets supplied to. So if everybody can please do that, that would be great. And we still have early voting going on until Friday from 9:30 to 4:30 here at City Hall. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Sean isn't here. City Attorney Brian, do you have anything for us today?
Another report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start now with the commissioners, accounts and finances. Kim.
Thank you. I'm gonna first make a motion to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $351,014.18, of which 185 of that is for 2 trucks that we approved last meeting. 90,000 is insurance and garbage, and 13,000 I believe was for the EPA. Yes, the EPA loan. So final dollar amount for bills, $351,014.18.
I'll second.
Commissioner Early,
Yes.
Commissioner Weeding,
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Wozak,
Yes.
Mayor Hart,
Yes.
motion carries.
Secondly, I'd like to make a motion to approve payroll in the amount of $89,290.59.
I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Early,
Yes.
Commissioner Weeding,
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Wozak,
Yes.
Mayor Hart,
Yes.
motion carries.
And then lastly, we have a Whitley is here to go over the fiscal 2023 audit with us. And thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. So my name is Sarah McKenna. I'm a senior manager at Whitley, and I think this is my third audit with you guys was for fiscal year 23, and my second time presenting to the board. And so similar to when I did the fiscal year 22 audit presentation, I have some PowerPoint slides that I printed and handed out, just to kind of pull back from the detail of the report. Tony, did they have copies of the financial report, that we would have sent previously?
I'm right
The
here.
big book, there we go.
Yeah.
We could go, okay. So we could go page by page, but I'm gonna pull back a little bit. I do have just more high level. And then if there's questions on the details, we can always go into them too. I have a copy of the report with me as well. So just to start off, the overview of the audit. So for the audit, it's kind of a twofold. The main audit is the financial statement audit, and then we also do what we call it like the TIF fund audit. And it has some special compliance requirements that is required by the state of Illinois. We have to give a specific opinion on the village or on the city's compliance with those Illinois compiled statutes. So as part of the financial statement audit, we issue an annual financial report, which is that big fast book. And then we also issue what we call the required communications letter. And in the required communications letter, we would also communicate if we had any internal control deficiencies or any management letter comments. I'm happy to report we did not become aware of any internal control deficiencies during the fiscal year 23 audit, but we did have one management letter comment, and that relates to uncollateralized deposits at one of the banks. And I think we had that comment for fiscal year 22 as well. And the reason we make that comment is it's required disclosure in the footnotes to the financial statements because there is an Illinois compiled statute that it does want all public funds to be fully collateralized at the banks. And so what that means is in the event of bank failure, you could have a risk of loss for those funds that are not collateralized. So FDIC will cover your deposits up to a certain point, and then above that, any I think it's up to like 250. So anything above 250,000, you would need to work with the bank to get collateralized. So we would make that recommendation in the letter. And then also there's an online report that the Illinois Comptroller's Office requires that we complete that for the city as well and submit that online. And then, like I had mentioned earlier, the TIF fund, the TIF audit is just like some special compliance requirements where we look at expenditures and verify that you guys filed all your proper reports and had your joint review board meeting. All right, so the next page is the summary of our auditor's report. So on the financial statement side, we issued one auditor's report. It is what we call a qualified opinion, and what that means is that we modified it. It's not clean per se. And this is not different than what had happened a few years prior. I'm gonna misquote, but there was a new accounting standard that came out. I don't remember what year exactly, but we call it GASB 75 on the other post-employment benefits plans besides pension. So, and when that accounting standard came out, it wants you guys to have an actuarial study done on potentially any retirees that will stay on the city's health insurance or life insurance or dental insurance plans. And without that study, we don't know what the liability is for what we call the OPEB. So we do issue a qualified opinion in regards to that. So it's just something that you have to kind of outweigh the cost benefit analysis of whether or not you guys want to do that going forward at some point and get a clean audit opinion or continue. We just don't know we don't know how material it is. We know there's people on the plan. So usually when that happens, we're like, oh, you should probably have a study, an actuarial study done. Any questions on that?
How long has that been going on?
That is a good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I can get back to you.
Thank
I know it's been at least fiscal year 21, 22, and 23. I believe that, I want to say the standard came out somewhere in the teens. So don't quote me, maybe 2015, 2016, that this GASB 75 standard came out. And that is when that requirement would have started.
So it's been there for a while.
Yeah,
Thank
it probably has. But ideally, we do have, like, if there was no retirees on your insurance plan, then maybe we would have said, oh, it's probably not going to be a material number anyways. You know, if you guys never had a history of anybody staying on, then we wouldn't necessarily have to qualify. So there is some judgment in there, but because you guys do have some retirees and their families currently on the plan, that is what triggered us to be like, it could be a material number. Because it also takes into consideration current active employees that could potentially join the plan like in future years. So the actual study is very intensive and a lot of assumptions go into that.
Thank you.
Yes. In the TIF report that we also issued kind of separate from the financial statement audit, we have two opinions in there. One is on the compliance side. So we're saying, if you guys complied and we didn't have any findings, so happy to report that. All the TIF expenditures that we tested appeared in compliance. And then we also, include the financial statements for the TIF fund in that report. And so it was just what we call an in relation to opinion to the regular financial statements as a whole. Those are, I think the TIF fund it's just, sub fund in the main report. So that was clean. The TIF funds are clean, clean unmodified opinion there. So no issues with the state. All right, and then this is where I just kind of pulled back some information from the big bound audit report. Let's see. So note 6 was a new note that we included this year, and that was related to a loan receivable that you guys have for like a redevelopment agreement with Bauer and DeRaggio.
Brazil.
DeRaggio, okay, thank you.
Good.
So we had a new note there, so I wanted to mention that. And then another big change I saw was the police pension net pension liability increased this year 1.9 million. I think last year it actually decreased and now it's kind of back up. And I was looking at that and it looked like there was a change in assumptions. Specifically, it's one of those things where there's an actuarial report done and they use this like discount rate and it affects the liability balance by quite a lot. So this year that effect was 1.9 million increase. And that is reported, and actually maybe back up a little bit, that pension liability is reported on your government, what we call the government-wide financial statements in the front of the report. It doesn't go on to your fund financials that you guys are normally used to seeing, probably that Tony would report on a day-to-day would be your fund. So it's something that's kind of like an audit adjustment that we do at the end to kind of be in compliance with the accounting standards.
And I have a comment on that, if you
Yeah.
don't mind me interrupting you.
Absolutely.
My understanding is that this, part of this increase is because of a number of years back, we did not fund the pension as well as we needed to. And so now we're trying to at least catch up some and see where we are.
I don't know if that, and that might, I don't know if that plays into the discount rate, because I noticed that was the assumption change that I had noticed.
Okay.
And also how the investment market goes up and down, that's gonna affect how the pension liability comes out too, because there's plan assets there and your fiduciary funds. And, depending on how the market does, that's gonna affect everything.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. We did have a new GASB that we implemented this year, GASB Statement 87 on leases. There was not a material impact on that, but I just wanted to kind of share that information. Overall, on your government-wide financial statements, so these statements include like fixed assets and debts and all your pension liabilities. There was a net loss this year of $721,000, and that was on page 14. I had a reference there, but revenues for the most part didn't change a whole lot. They did go up 164,000, but expenses did increase 1.7 million, and that stems from we had recorded a $1.8 million redevelopment payment to Bauer and DeRaggio, and so that caused when that land was sold to them, that caused that redevelopment expense to be recorded, and so that's mostly why your expenses also went up so much this year. Note 13, we did have a restatement this year related to grant revenue, the GASB 87 implementation, but that was only like 14,000, so it wasn't very impactful. And then there was a change in the income tax receivable accrual, and those changes were recommended by your outsourced accountant, Kaspera. And so with those recommended changes, we had to do a restatement on the financials. So the the net position actually decreased like 152,000, so not, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't a ton of money, but, I did wanna mention that part. So that's just a change in how the accruals were made there. And then, I think the last thing I just wanted to touch base on is grants. And what I want to say about grants, so, you know, the city did, in FY '22 and FY '23 is when the city had received the ARPA grant funds. At the time, as of April 30th of 2023, you guys hadn't spent much of that yet. So, we have 800,000 recorded as a deferred revenue. And we show that the village had spent 40,000 at fiscal year '23 of those ARPA funds. I see a typo. It's kind of, I want to talk about too, because it's on our radar. So if we're engaged to do the fiscal year '24 audit, the city could fall into what we call either a yellow book audit or a single audit. Based on, I did try to lay out, there's certain requirements based on state and federal laws that would require maybe some additional testing as a result of spending that grant money. It goes up based on what is spent versus what is received. So when you guys start spending that money, it could trigger some additional audit procedures that would be needed.
One comment I have regarding what I already mentioned, the police pension, net pension liability, I didn't realize this is the 2023 versus 2024.
Yes.
So our increase in our budget this year is to help start offsetting that.
That makes up.
Thank you.
I'm with you. Any other, I think that's all I really had for the presentation part, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Sarah, is there a benefit to having a forensic audit for a city?
If you suspect there's fraud, then there would be a benefit, because you'd want that to stop immediately. And then you also would want to know how much was stolen if you had suspicion.
Would you know approximately how much those run?
No, it will vary.
Yeah, I read the variance, it could start at like 150 to upwards 300,000.
That seems
Per
high.
year.
Oh, okay. Is that what it would cost, the audit cost, or that's
The
what?
forensic audit, yeah.
It just depends how long it takes, how in depth, how far back they need to go. I personally don't work on those. We do have a separate team and at Whitley that works on those kinds of things. So really, I can't say.
And what would be your overall assessment as to how well Braidwood is doing compared to other cities?
Well, I was kind of looking at the numbers earlier as you guys were like talking about budget stuff. I haven't ran the numbers, but I usually like a rule of thumb is we like to say I know we were talking about reserves earlier, I think you had some questions. And we would always recommend like 25% of expenses is what you should have in your fund balance reserves. So I haven't done the calculations to kind of figure out, but that's what we would kind of look at to test the health of your fund balance reserves, to make sure that you guys can, if something happened, you had at least 3 months worth of operating funds available.
Do you do audits for other cities?
Yes.
Okay. And just looking at our balances and what we have compared to, what our issues are for what we have to spend, does that sound reasonable to you or not reasonable?
Your which balance, like cash
Okay,
balances?
so we had a
or-
town hall meeting here last week, and we had the accountant come and talk. And he saw that we had a total of $8 million plus balance among all the different accounts. Now, that has to be divided up in different ways and all that kind of stuff. And he said that he was very impressed and that he thought we were at the top echelon of the cities that he reviews. Would you have any reason to discount that?
No, I wouldn't. I have not looked at your general fund. When I was preparing for the presentation today, I was looking more at your government-wide. And you do have, it can be a little deceiving if you had the book in front of you. Your government-wide financial statements does show a negative unrestricted fund balance for governmental activities, so anything outside of the enterprise fund. But that basically stems from those pension liabilities that you had to add to the books, 7, 8 years ago. So, I didn't look at the general fund a lot, but the general fund is what we would look at the most, and I think that you guys are fine
Yep.
there.
Thank you.
You are wonderful, thank you.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for
Yes.
that
Thank you so
report.
much.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's all I have, Mayor.
thank you very much, Kim. We'll continue on with streets and public improvements.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And being the street commissioner, I'm glad to hear that garbage trucks are gonna have flowers in them. That may help the city smell a little bit better. But I just wanna let our guys work with the water department. And you may see some hard hats like this out on the streets. If you do, be careful. They're working or they're in a hole. They're fixing bad spots in the streets or they're fixing a water main break. Our guys also help the water department. We've got the internet company through here doing a lot of surf internet,
Surf,
doing a
yeah.
lot of digging. So we help the water department with locating water lines, things like that. And just around town, we've had some cold patch work done. Also, there was I think there was a storm drain. Storm drain was damaged by, it looks like, Nightcore last week that was repaired over by 2nd and Park. And other than that, that's all I had, Mayor. Thanks.
Public building and property, anything, Warren?
Thank you, Mayor. Real quick update on the tower out here. The tower itself is patched and sealed up on the inside. You can see the valves and some pipe work laying outside. We're waiting on one more major valve that we didn't have in stock. So as soon as that comes in, they'll be doing the repairs and rerouting and eliminating some old pipelines and valves and upgrading everything out back. And we will have documentation of the blueprint when we're done. The other thing I want to bring up, Sarah brought it up, the EPA lead line survey. It's easily overlooked. It's easy to, I don't have to do this. It's very important for the city through the EPA to have these surveys. If we don't get the surveys as a community, as a city, we will get, I don't want to say punished, but we're not going to come out as well if these surveys aren't complete.
May I ask a question about the EPA survey? I rent. I mean, I understand the owner should probably be the responsible party to do this, but
Yeah.
considering how many rentals he has, he probably will. Should I still do that? Or
That's a good question. I'll get you an answer. I'm a renter as well. And I have the same question. I didn't have time to address it. Before the next council meeting, I'll have an answer on that.
Or can I ask, do we have any lead water lines in Braidwood at all?
Not that any have shown up yet.
I didn't think we did.
Tony, I don't think we've
No, we don't
come
have
across
any.
any.
But some of them, if you have galvanized piping,
Right.
that can be considered, that could be considered a type of lead line, but no, we don't have any lead lines.
Unless somebody reports differently at this time, no lead lines.
Okay.
Yep. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Public health and safety.
Thank you, Mayor. Always the one that talks. Okay, so the first item I have is to provide the Braidwood Police Department press release. This is for the period of March 11th through March 24th. The total number of calls for service was 271. Case reports was 20. Total subjects arrested were 2. Total arrest charges were 4. Total number of traffic stops, 105. Citations, 34. Written warnings, 61. Semi-truck violations, 1. And total number of P-tickets, 1. Okay, I have a few comments to make because I always do talk. And so I want to mention some things about our council here. In the hope of getting a better understanding of things, I want to make these comments. First, the council has a lot of good, hardworking people. The office staff has a lot of good, hardworking people. Each department has a good group of hardworking people. All of these people are working for the best interest of all Braidwood residents. When you see derogatory remarks on Facebook regarding anybody that is working for the best interest of Braidwood residents, I advise you to disregard those people making those kind of comments. This is a good vehicle for all Braidwood residents to ask questions and get answers to determine any items they might wonder about or just want more information. These options include coming to council meetings, coming to town hall meetings, asking questions before, during, or after these meetings. You can also send questions to anyone on the council. Our emails are listed on the braidwood.us site. All communication should be polite and respectful. This is how everyone expects to be treated. The current council members have reiterated the willingness to discuss and answer questions whenever they are presented. Some questions will need to be researched and then the answer given. So we are making ourselves available to all Braidwood residents for whatever questions they might have. So please understand and be considerate of all of us that are dedicating time and effort to help all our Braidwood citizens. Now, I'm an ex-Marine Corps officer. I believe in honesty, integrity, and respect. Our city administrator does a lot of activity, and people have indicated that they don't believe he does anything. This is disrespectful for anybody. Our budget, which we just discussed, had to be prepared by the city administrator and then gone over with every council member. This is something that is done in other cities as well. You can go find that being their process. So please realize that it's a real disrespect to just tell somebody that somebody doesn't do anything. The current administrator also oversees department workers on a day-to-day basis. He also oversees the office operations. He works with businesses on a regular basis. So please, people, we got good people here in Braidwood. I believe in all of us. Let's act in an appropriate manner, and let's be considerate of each other, and let's appreciate those that are doing well. I've complimented many people through my time here, and I would say again, my responsibility overlooking the police department, Chief Brett Goodwin has done an excellent job. He is serving all of us in a great way. And if you have questions, send me the questions. I'll get you the answer. But don't just make accusations and other kind of comments that are disrespectful. I appreciate that from all of you. Thank you. That's all for me.
Okay. Planning and zoning, I see George is here. Hi, George.
Planning and Zoning Commission met on March 17th to hear public testimony regarding a proposed comprehensive plan for the city. This plan was written by the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, known as CMAP, in 2023. Most of the commissioners and the mayor were on the steering committee when that started up, when it was being worked on. There was also a large meeting at the library where the public was invited to attend and make comments and put in their 2 cents. This plan was written specifically for our town with many studies of our housing, residents, parks, transportation, businesses, and land use. One of the reasons this plan is necessary is that when a municipality or business applies for a grant, a well-written comprehensive plan is what the grantor asks if you have, and they look at it. So that's very important when you're applying for a grant, if you can show you have a nice comprehensive plan. This plan will be the key to the city of Braidwood's future economic development and for the health and safety of our city and our residents. The Plan Commission recommends to the council to approve ordinance 35-13, adopting an official comprehensive plan for the city of Braidwood.
I'd like to make some comments on this.
Can we go ahead and
Do we make the motion
make
first
a
or just,
motion and second it, and then we comment?
or do
More
we?
appropriate to make a motion second.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the CMAP plan.
Second.
Okay, now I'd like to
Okay,
make some
now you
comments.
can- now you can talk.
All right, first of all, I'd like to read a letter that was presented by the project manager of CMAP. On behalf of CMAP, I want to thank every resident, city staff member, elected official, and community member who contributed to the Braidwood Comprehensive Plan. This collaborative effort has created Braidwood's first comprehensive plan in 2 decades. The plan is a policy document and is not legally binding. It addresses Braidwood's challenges, opportunities by offering recommendations and suggestions that both preserve and build upon the town's unique character. It provides guidance for making informed decisions on land use, community development, transportation, economic development, and parks and recreation. It is also adaptable, allowing for modifications as community needs evolve. Building on the community input gathered during the plan's development, Braidwood should seek to reach a consensus on what it wants to be carefully weighing the trade-offs among various goals and potential paths. The community can determine which of the plan's recommendations and suggested strategies to pursue first. CMAP is especially grateful to the plan's steering committee, which included Mayor Karen Hart, City Administrator Tony Altieri, Braidwood Police Department worker, Braidwood Emergency Service Disaster worker, and Braidwood Park Districtor Josh Bellato, Braidwood resident Gregory Cholik, Braidwood Area Healthy Community Coalition Pamela Del Aquila, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Commissioner of Accounts and Finance Kimberly Irving, Braidwood Fire Protection District Board of Education Reed Custer Community Unit School District 255U Melissa Mikolos, Commissioner of Streets and Public Improvements Dale Walsh, and Commissioner of Public Health and Safety Ron Wilczek Sr. The dedication and hard work of these individuals was crucial to the development of the plan. They devoted significant time to attend meetings, lead the plan's lively open house, and review multiple drafts of the plan. Above all, they demonstrated their commitment to collaboration, consideration of different viewpoints, and finding common ground. It has been an honor to partner with them. We wish to Braidwood the very best as it takes at the next steps towards the future. Signed, Stephen Ostrander, Project Manager of the Braidwood Comprehensive Plan. I also have some other comments. To effectively implement the plan, this is part of the comments in the plan, so you can get to know some of the perspectives of why the CMAP plan is important and some of the future things coming down the line. To effectively implement the plan, the city should prioritize which recommendations and strategies to pursue first. The steering committee will be essential in establishing working groups tasked with initiating and leading these efforts. The following steps are recommended. The steering committee forms a working group of 3 to 5 members for each of the plan's 4 main sections, including community volunteers and 1 city council member. Using the implementation matrix, work groups evaluate short to medium timeline strategies, prioritizing those marked as higher priority. After an initial ranking, they meet with the city administrator to discuss potential benefits, drawbacks, and actionable steps for key strategies. Each working group submits a concise report following a template created by the steering committee. The reports outline priorities, strategies, potential impacts, practical first steps, including who is responsible for each, and estimated cost as a Braidwood area study area. Each report is reviewed by the mayor, city administrator, and city council for feedback. Following any revisions, the reports are compiled into a single document, which becomes an action plan for the community, with most actions handled by the city of Braidwood and others led by residents, community groups, and other local partners. So folks, we've been working on this for a long time. You now have an outline. If you want to get involved, please speak up, come get involved. You can help define what's going to happen with Braidwood over the coming future. This gives us all the categories we need, but we need detailed work and we need detailed research and analysis. Example, the CMAP plan is 64 pages. The existing conditions report is 119 pages. The open house report is 31 pages. The market analysis is 43 pages. The market presentation is 30 pages. And the hotel feasibility is 50 pages. In addition to all of that, there are 80 references for things that we can go to try to get in depth on each of these efforts. So we have a lot of work and a lot of preparation and a lot of support of what we can do going forward. But it depends on all of us. All of us. If we're going to want to participate, that's how we're going to get the results. I know everyone on this council is very willing to participate. And as you saw, we are all have been involved in this 1.5-year long effort. So thank you for everybody that has and will continue to volunteer for the CMAP plan because it's our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron.
We have a motion on the table and we have a second.
Commissioner Early,
Yes.
Commissioner Whedon,
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Wozak,
Yes.
Mayor Hart.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do we have any old business? Any new business?
Yes. There's a community garden cleanup a week from Saturday, April 5th, out at the Coalition office where the, if you don't know where the Coalition, kind of behind where Patterson Funeral Home is, where the old docks was. We need some more, we need help. So anybody that can come and help, I believe, is it 10 a.m. till 4 p.m.? Thanks, Denita.
There's flyers on the table over here.
Pardon me?
There's flyers on the table over here, and if anybody has questions, my number is.
Okay, flyers on the table, thank you. And then we were looking to have a community cleanup the following Saturday. I didn't talk to our administrator about that, but if it's a free Saturday, around 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
What date?
That is April 12th. So community garden for the Coalition, yes.
I'm not positive on the date, because I forgot the phone. Isn't it the same day as the Easter bunny? Josh is over there?
The 12th?
Isn't the 12th?
Oh, the Easter egg hunt, yeah.
The children's Easter egg hunt, Easter basket giveaway on the 12th. Starts at noon, hunt starts at 1, should be done by 1:30, 1:45 at the latest. But that's geared for the ones like younger, like 10 and younger.
We changed it, the time?
Yes.
Change the time, who said yes?
I did.
I do.
2 to 4? 2 in the afternoon till 4?
For cleanup, Dale?
Cleanup. Or, it goes on till 1:45, you said, Josh?
Should be done by then, yeah.
Where can we announce that at? Is there a vehicle, city administrator?
We can do it on, I usually rely on my clerk to.
Do it on the webpage.
Okay.
Turn it
So-
over to Sarah.
Right now, the tentative time, April 12th, 2 to 4. Is that what we're hearing?
Yes. Do we make any changes? Find out about the Easter egg, like you say, the Easter egg hunt's a little earlier than that for younger children, but,
And don't
Yes.
forget the Easter egg hunt.
and I will post it online also.
There you go.
Change.
All right.
Make any changes from 2 to 4.
Can I ask a question of both you and Danita? Are any age limits on the help for the garden? Okay, you want some, okay, same
No
thing
age
for,
limits, and it's from 10 to 4, but nobody has to come from 10 to 4.
okay, all right, they can come for an hour or
Yes.
2 hours
And
there.
I do give out community service.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to know that it's intergenerational.
Yes.
Okay.
Under 100, over 2 and under 100.
I don't know what I do with that, Dale.
I don't know.
Is that it?
Yes,
Anything
that's
more?
it.
Okay,
Thank
one
you.
more comment then. All of that information can be relayed on our next meeting on April 8th. So
All right. Our next meeting will be April 8th at 7 o'clock here in the council chambers. And I will entertain a motion to
I'll
adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Who's taking it?
draw straws, who's good here?
Kim.
Commissioner Early,
Yes.
Commissioner Weeding,
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilczek,
Yes.
Mayor Hart,
Yes.
we have adjourned.
Thank you all
And
for coming.
Thank you all for coming.
Yes,
Thank you.
and look forward to all the participation that people might want to give. Thank you.